Okay, now induction, Anustapane. It is the HRM function that systematically and formally introduces the new employee to the organization, the job, the work group to which the newcomer will belong, and the work environment where the newcomer will work. So it is simply the HRM functions that systematically introduces the new employee, the newcomer to the organization, to the job environment, and to the relevant job. නව සේවාදායකයා ආයතනයට රැකියා පරිසරයට අදාළ රැකියාවට ක්‍රමානුකූලව හඳුන්වා දීමේ විධිමත් මානව සම්පත් කළමනාකරන කාර්යය අනුස්ථාපනය නමින් හඳුන්වනවා. අවිධිමත් විදිහට මෙම හඳුන්වා දීම සිදු විය හැකියි. So it is possible to do this induction informally also. So an alternative term for induction is orientation. In Sinhala, it is namni karani. As induction familiarizes new employee with the work and the general organizational environment, it is some form of training. Of course, training is a big HRM function that has to be learned by you in due course as a separate HRM function, of course, under training and development. So induction can be considered as a form of training because during induction, a certain amount of new knowledge is given to the employee. Also, a new attitude that is, of course, favorable has to be attempted to develop within the new employee. This new attitude is about the organization, about the job environment, about the relevant other employees with whom this newcomer will have to interact. Look at this image. Welcome. Of course, induction involves welcoming the new employee if there is only one person, or welcoming the new employees if there is more than one new employees. So induction can be divided into two categories basically: general induction and special induction. So what is general induction? That is the systematic attempt to introduce the new employee to the general organization, to the organizational setting. What is the name of the organization? What is the history of the organization? Who are the owners of the organization? What are the products of the organization? So about those things, a general understanding has to be given to the new employee. That giving that general understanding comes under general induction. Then special induction, that is the systematic attempt to introduce the new employee to the particular job that the employee has to perform, and also the job environment. The new employee was hired to perform a certain job. To that certain job, the new employee has to be inducted. Also, the relevant job environment, which has linkages with the job that the new employee has to perform. Okay. I wish to draw your attention to this figure. Have a serious look at this figure. That gives an overview to induction in terms of a figure. So induction basically is introducing the new employee to the organization, and to the relevant job. So it can be in either informal way or formal way. Also in both ways, within the same organization, it is possible to have an informal induction, also a formal induction. So what are the differences between informal induction and formal induction? Informal induction is non-planned. Formal induction is planned. Informal induction is ad hoc. Formal induction is systematic. Informal induction is non-official. Formal induction is official. So usually small organizations which do informal induction. Usually large organizations, they do formal induction. Formal induction is a planned, systematic, and official attempt to introduce the newcomers to the relevant jobs and the relevant organization aspects. So then, as far as the formal induction is concerned, it can be broken into two categories: general induction and the special induction. So previously, before coming to this figure, I introduced those two types: general induction and special induction. So you can see here, under general induction, the new employee is introduced to vision of the organization, the mission of the organization, goals, strategies, structure, history, and the current affairs. Then under special induction, the new employee is inducted to department where the new employee has to work, and the job that the new employee is supposed to perform, and the job environment which is related to the job. Okay, then here, what is this? Human induction. There is another form of induction that is called human induction. So assume this is the new employee. This is the new employee. Then there are two employees here. So they can be considered as superiors to this new employee. Then here there are three employees. Here there are three employees. So altogether there are six employees who can be considered as peers to this employee, this new employee, co-employees. And also these three employees, they are down to this new employee. So these people can be considered as subordinates to this new employee. So therefore, the new employee is supposed to interact with these all these employees. So therefore, before starting the job, it is important to introduce this new employee to all these relevant people with whom this new employee has to interact. That is called human induction. So human induction is an essential part of induction. Okay. Right here, doing induction. So now the importance of induction. So it is expected that induction will help the new employee face cultural shock and real shock successfully. So these are two valid reasons which necessitate conducting the induction. So what is cultural shock? Normally a culture involves a set of beliefs, norms, and particular actions which are shared by a certain group of employees within a certain organization. So usually every good organization has its own culture. That is called organizational culture. When there is a significant difference between the organizational culture and the culture to which the newcomer was used to, then the newcomer will have a feeling of distress, feeling which is uncomfortable. That is labeled as cultural shock. Sanskritik company in Sinhala. Cultural shock. So cultural shock then is a reason for doing induction. For doing induction. Think of yourself. Think of yourself. Think of your time of coming to the university as a new student. As a new student, there was an orientation for you. There was an orientation for you. So when you entered the university, then definitely you, to certain extent, at least maybe to some students, high extent, to other students, low extent. But anyhow, almost every student did face this cultural shock on the first day. On the first day to the university. So you came to the university with your experience relating to your home, relating to your, the tuition classes and your school. But you understood that the university culture was different. University culture was different. There were certain beliefs, there were certain actions, there were certain ways of doing, dressing, talking, the languages, which are different within the university, compared with those of your home, those of other cultures to which you were familiar. So therefore, you had something called shock. So that is called cultural shock. You had a difficulty. You had a strong feeling of distress. Also, the real shock. That is another reason for conducting an induction. What is this real shock? So you can see the different definition here. A strong feeling of distress due to the incompatibility, dissimilarity between what the new employee expects in his or her new job and the reality he or she is confronted with. So assume there is a newcomer. So then before coming to the organization, the newcomer had certain expectations about his or her superior, his or her peers, and then other people who are customers, who are suppliers, then about the working environment, various facilities. The newcomer had expectations. Then today, assume the newcomer entered the organization. Then after several hours, he experienced unexpectations. I mean, he faced unexpected things. So what he expected was different from what he experienced after coming to the organization as a new employee. Then there's a gap between what the employee expected and what the employee experienced. Assume after several hours, the new employee experienced that the boss is not friendly, even though the employee thought that the boss would be friendly. The employee thought before coming the working environment would be nice, would be comfortable, but actually the working environment is not nice. It is dusty, it is busy, it is uncomfortable. Then before coming to the organization, the new employee thought that peers would be friendly, supportive, they would really assist. But in reality, after coming to the organization, after spending several hours, the new employee understood or experienced that peers are not supportive. Some seem to be arrogant. They are not supportive. They are not really assisting. Then, of course, the newcomer is facing a strong feeling of distress because of the difference between what the newcomer expected and the newcomer is now experiencing. That is called real shock. Satya company, Yathartha company in Singhal. Okay, so therefore, it is important to reduce the impact of cultural shock on the new employee. Also, it is important to reduce the impact of real shock on the new employee. How can we do that? By conducting a formal induction program. Also, there is something called socialization. Samajan Yojane, socialization. You must have heard about this. Samajanu Yojane. So, the new employee within the organization, there are certain social things. The things relating to employees, the way of dressing, the way of talking, the way of doing businesses. So there are certain things, new policies, new procedures, new ways, new techniques of doing things. So then the new employee is supposed to learn these things and supposed to adopt these things, supposed to adjust and supposed to adopt. ඒ කියන්නේ ආයතනයේ සමාජීය පරිසරයේ තියෙන විවිධ දේවල් වලට නව සේවාදායකයා හැඩගැසිය යුතුයි, පුරු විය යුතුයි. ඒ වගේම ඒවා ඉගෙනගත යුතුයි. ඒවා සමහර බොහෝ දේවල් අනුගමනය කළ යුතුයි. So therefore, all these things, for all these things we call, by using this word, socialization. So indeed, induction starts the process of socialization. It really the induction will really facilitate the socialization of the new employee. So it will accelerate this process of socialization. Employees who are new attempt to learn the technical, social, and other aspects of the new workplace through socialization. They need to be accepted by other employees, including superiors, so that they become a part of the social fabric or foundations of the organization. New employees are supposed to be accepted by all employees. So therefore, there is a serious need of socialization on the part of the new employee. That socialization will be facilitated by this induction. That is another reason that will necessitate doing induction. Also, there are certain objectives that can be achieved by doing induction. First objective, to build confidence about self and the organization within the new employee, so that the new employee will become a productive employee. Of course, the new employee was invited by the organization to do a particular job. On that job, the new employee is supposed to be productive. But to work as a productive employee, it takes a certain time, the amount of time, maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe even 1 month. So induction really will create the confidence about the new employee. Then the new employee, because of this confidence, the new employee will be able to become a productive employee, because the induction will teach certain things, will give an important set of information about the job environments, about the organization, about the customers of the organization. Okay, so then second objective, to create the feeling of belongingness and loyalty within the new employee. Of course, the employee comes to the organization by thinking that the employee belongs to the organization. The employee is going to become a member of the organization, going to become a part of the organization. So that belongingness, the feeling of belongingness is important. So assume there is no one to welcome. There is no one to welcome. The employee gets confused. The employee will experience shame, will experience fear, will experience anxiety. So these are psychological negative things. Negative things. So therefore, to a greater extent, these things should be avoided. How to avoid such things? Through induction. Through induction. And third objective, to familiarize the new employee with the job and the job environment within a shorter time. Yes, within a shorter time. Without induction, an intelligent employee will try to get familiarized by himself or herself, but it will take a longer time. So this longer time, instead of this longer time, within a shorter time, it is possible to familiarize the new employee with the job and the job environment through induction. Then fourth objective, to generate favorable attitudes within the new employee about peers, superiors, and the organization in general. Favorable, kind of evaluation, kind of feeling, kind of belief about the organization, about the peers. So it is important to develop a favorable attitude within that new employee through induction. It is possible to do. Then fifth objective, to assist the new employee to contribute to organizational success more quickly. Okay, right. Look at this image, induction program. Assume this is new employee. This is new employee. So these are all employees. So then if you take the all, that is a team. That is a team. So then this newcomer has to be a part of a member of that team. That is expected and that can be facilitated through a good induction program. So in a way, we can analyze this figure in this way also. There is a belongingness. Okay, so I assume this is the new employee. So then new employee has to be inducted so that the new employee will have the feeling of belonging to this team in a specific, and to the organization in general. Okay, look at this image, welcoming new hires. Welcoming new hires. New hires mean new employees. New employees who are hired, of course, after recruitment and selection. After recruitment and selection. Look at this one, this image. By using this image, you must be able to think of socialization. Socialization. Assume here there are different colors, showing that there are different types of employees. All employees, new employees, customers, all. So assume all these are employees with whom the employee has to interact. The employee has to get familiarity. So therefore, this is the okay. What I call is yes. This is the this is the team, you can say, or this is the organization. So therefore, the new employee should not be of the organization. The new employee should be within the organization. Within the organization. So this needs a right socialization. So therefore, induction. So assume this is the inductor. So this inductor will facilitate the socialization process of this newcomer. This newcomer. So assume this newcomer is a new employee who has never done any job, no experience at all. Then this organization environment is seriously strange to the newcomer. So therefore, it is important to help this newcomer to become a normal employee, a productive employee. Of course, there are research studies done and which evidently show that induction, the formal induction, serious formal induction, has resulted in generating positive results to the organization. Positive results to the organization. Induction resulted in reducing the absenteeism of the new employees, reducing the tardiness, lateness of the new employees, reducing the turnover of the new employees, increasing the productivity of new employees, increasing the job satisfaction of new employees. So therefore, induction is a serious thing. Right. Now, induction process. If induction is a serious thing, then how can we do induction in an organization? How to do induction in an organization? So look at this figure. So that is a model of induction according to our understanding. That gives a good answer for the question, how to do induction in reality. So this model has 3 stages. Stage 1, preparation. Stage 2, conduct. Stage 3, follow-up and evaluation. Follow-up and evaluation. So what is preparation? Preparation is indeed planning for induction. Sudanam Viva. Preparation. That is planning for induction. So what is planning for induction? Okay, look at this image, this picture. Here, there are certain, yes, questions, right? We can derive certain questions, right? What is, what, where, who, why, when, how. These things, can be adopted to induction, So under preparation, we are supposed to ask these questions and we are supposed to generate answers, right? Answers for these questions, What is to induct? Where to induct? Who should do inducting? Why should we do inducting? When to do induction? How to do induction? Okay, so what to do under induction? Where to do this induction? Then who should do this induction? Why should we do this induction? Then when to do this induction? And how to do this induction? Basically, these are the planning questions. Okay, then specifically, right, yes. What information should a basic understanding be given? About what information should a basic understanding be given? Nature of the organization, organizational policies, procedures and rules, employee rewards, job-related information. So about these things, the information. About these things, the information has to be given to the new employee under induction. In other words, a basic understanding about these things the new employee has to obtain through induction. Then who should give the information? Information about the nature of the organization, information about the organization's policies, procedures, and rules. Who should give? General induction, normally the information. Under general induction, the nature of the organization, Information about the nature of the organization comes. Information about organization policies, procedures and rules, that also comes under general induction. So general induction usually can be done by the human resource manager and or the general manager and or managing director. But the specific induction, the information about about the job related information, job related information about the job, information about the job environment. That set has to be given by the immediate superior, and also it is possible by the immediate superior's superior, by the immediate superior's superior. Okay, who should give the information? Then how to give the information? How to give the information? Through employee handbooks, video films, lectures, bulletins, booklets. The relevant information can be given to the new employees. New employees. For example, about the history of the organization. Through a video, it is possible to give the relevant information to the newcomers. Then information about personal, information about rewards, information about information about organization policies, procedures, and rules. Yes, it is possible to give through a lecture. Through a lecture, it is possible to give through a lecture. Okay. Then it is possible to give information about certain essential policies, procedures which affect the employees. That information can be, can be given through an employee handbook. Best companies in the world, they prepare a special book called Employee Handbook. A copy of that handbook is given to each new employee. So that book, will contain almost all the needed information for all the needed information. So when the new employee wants to get a certain information, then that new employee can refer to that handbook, employee handbook. Then within what period should information be given? So it depends on the nature of the organization, nature of the job, time of management. So assume the nature of the organization, very large organization, then there must be a lot of information to be given to the new employees. Then it takes maybe 2 days, even 3 days. 3 days. If the organization is a very small one, then 1 hour is needed. Maybe 1 hour is enough. 1 hour is enough. Then the nature of the job. In case of a top job, senior managerial job, then a lot of information has to be given to the relevant new employee. Then it requires several hours, maybe several days. Several days. Okay, right. What is this? Have a serious look. Have a serious look at this image or picture. There's a female who is assumed she is a new employee. She is a new employee. So then she is having an induction. She's having an induction. Then a lot of people, so a lot of people are giving a lot of information. A huge amount of information is being given to this new employee. So look at her face. Her face is gloomy. It seems that she is in an upset mood. She is in an uncomfortable mood or uncomfortable state, suffering from a distress because of too much of information. So therefore, this image gives a good learning point for you. When we induct a new employee, we should make sure that we should not give too much of information within a very short time to the employee. Only an amount of information that the particular employee can handle. That amount which the particular employee can handle should be given to the new employee. All of the I mean the rest of the information, which is usually much, that has to be specified in the employee handbook, a copy of which can be given to the new employee when the employee needs certain information. Then the relevant employee can refer to that book to get that information. Okay, right. So therefore, overburden or system overload, the information, too much of information should not be given. Okay, then second stage of the process of induction is conduct. Conduct. Conduct has to be done to make induction program in action. In action. So the yes. So these about what information should a basic understanding be given, who should give the information, then how to give the information, then within what period should the information be given. So if you develop good answers for these questions, then we will have a program. That is the plan for induction. That plan has to be implemented under this stage. That is conduct this stage. Here the supervision is important. Here the supervision is important. That is usually given by the human resource manager. Generally, human resource manager is responsible for implementing the induction program successfully to the relevant people by using the relevant resource people who are supposed to give the right information. Okay, then follow-up. Follow-up and evaluation. That is the third stage of the process of induction, according to our understanding. And follow-up is important to check to see whether induction program is being implemented as planned. Implemented as planned. So, so assume there were 10 new employees, and the human resource manager usually has to do this follow-up. And the human resource manager has to check whether these 10 new employees have participated in the induction program. Assume there were 3 resource persons who were supposed to give the relevant information. Then the human resource manager can check whether these 3 resource personnel indeed participated, gave the service, the expected service to the newcomers, new employees. Then was the relevant material to the new employees given? Were the relevant facilities given as planned? That can be checked by this follow-up. And then the evaluation. Of course, evaluation is done to identify any defects of the implemented induction program. Any errors. So if there are any errors, then of course these errors will have to be corrected for future. So therefore, by making the induction program better. If there are many errors, assume evaluation found out that there are many errors relating to the induction program. There was no relevant material. There were no right personnel to give right information. Then facilities were bad. Many errors. Then the induction program was not a success. It was unsuccessful. Then more likely, completely The human resource manager has to decide to abolish or discontinue the induction program. Instead, a new induction program, which has no errors, will have to be formulated and then implemented. But these things can be done for future. So usually the evaluation is about the past, but the results of the evaluation are going to be used for the future to become better. Yes, I want to tell this also. If you want to do an evaluation about the success of an induction program implemented, then we can prepare a questionnaire. Then that questionnaire can be given to the new employees to give their responses about various. We can ask questions about various aspects. Okay, now activity 8.2 discussed specifically about types of information to be given during induction. A good answer can be found in this exhibit, which is 7.1, that gives general information for induction. So have a serious look at this exhibit. Here, my left side, general category, then my right side, specific information. The first general category is nature of the organization. Nature of the organization. So every new employee should be inducted to nature of the organization. What are the specific items under this general category? Name of the organization, vision and mission, values, goals, functions, products, organizational structure, production process, customers, top management, their names and positions, and history of the organization. In the second general category, that is personnel policies, procedures, and rules, under which the specific items include grievance handling, discipline management, health and safety management, labor relations, and employee movements. These are generally difficult to understand for a new employee. So therefore, a good practice is to include all the relevant information relating to these specific items in a book called Employee Handbook. Previously, I mentioned about this Employee Handbook, the copy of which is given to every new employee. In the third general category, rewards. So in which not almost, every new employee is interested. Every new employee wants to know the information, right information about available rewards within the organization. Specific items include wages and salaries, incentives, welfare facilities available, pay days, leave, training opportunities, and promotion opportunities. Then fourth general category of information, job and job environment. Job and job environment. So under which specific items include job title, location, job objectives, tasks, duties, responsibilities, and targets, targets to be achieved by the relevant employee, performance standards, working conditions, tools, equipment, and relationship between the job and other jobs. This is so very, very important because every newcomer was hired to perform a certain job. So therefore, every newcomer must have a very good understanding about the job and the job environment. Then the fifth general category, that is about personnel, the relevant employees with whom the new employee has to interact, with whom the new employee has to maintain relationships which are good, which are favorable. Specific items are supervisor, co-employees, subordinates, trainers, employee counselor, human resource head and his or her staff. So these are humans. These are humans, employees within the organization with whom the newcomer has to interact. So this comes under human induction. Okay, now buddy system. Now buddy system. What is this? This is an induction method that gets the service of an all employee. Service of an all employee who is currently working for the organization, who is used to assist by the organization to the new employee to get familiarized with the job environment and general organizational environment. This is a method of induction that uses the service of an all employee who knows about the job environment and the general aspects of the organization, who knows the job environment and the general aspects of the organization. This all employees requested. These all employees requested by the human resource manager or by the respective manager who is responsible for inducting the new employee. Requested to induct the new employee. The all employees requested to induct the new employee. Buddy. In Sinhala කියනවා buddy ක්‍රමය කියලා කියනවා. Buddy, සාමාන්‍ය buddy කියලා කියන අඹ යාළුවෙක්, an intimate friend. But here genuinely there's no intimate friend, but an all employee can be considered as a person who is knowledgeable about the job because of his or her experience. An all employee is a person who joined the organization 2 or 3 years ago, or even 5 years ago. What are the advantages and disadvantages of using a buddy to induct a new employee? One major advantage is the lesser amount of cost. For the induction, it will, buddy system will take a lesser amount of time, lesser amount of money, lesser amount of effort, because the induction involves only one person. Induction involves getting the service of only one person, who is an all employee, a senior employee. It doesn't involve getting service of several people, several personnel, including top managers. So that is more expensive. That type of induction program is more expensive, costly. Right. Another advantage is this. Another advantage of using buddy system is that the new employee has more courage to ask questions about various aspects of the job environment and the organization from the all employee. Psychologically, the all employee is a peer or somewhat senior employee, so from whom the new employee has a more tendency to ask questions, rather than asking questions from a more senior manager. That is another advantage. Okay, so a major disadvantage of the buddy system is that if this all employee is a corrupted employee, a bad employee who has a bad attitude about the management, it is most likely that this all employee will develop a wrong, bad, corrupted attitude within the newcomer also, within the new employee also. Another major disadvantage is that the all employee may not be knowledgeable about all the aspects that the new employee wants to know under induction. Under induction. So therefore, it is important to use an old employee who is a senior employee, preferably just promoted, because a just promoted senior employee has more motivation to teach a newcomer psychologically. So therefore, it is important to use a senior employee and an old employee who has a good knowledge about almost all the aspects that the new employee wants to know. Right. Then critical incident 8.1, orientation at warehousing of North America Incorporation. Hopefully this will be done during the tutorial classes. Okay, now look at this one, this image. There's a new word called onboarding. Employee onboarding. What is this? Onboarding. Employee onboarding is an alternative term to employee induction, employee orientation. That is a new word. But according to the established literature of induction in the body of knowledge of HRM, the established term is induction. Sometimes the term orientation is used. Now I am going to give you a summary in Sinhala about hiring and induction. තෝරාගත් යෝග්‍යතම පුද්ගලයන් සේවාදායකයන් වශයෙන් රැකියාවන්හි සේවා නියුක්ත කිරීම බඳවා ගැනීම යන්නෙන් අදහස් වේ. පත්වීමේ ලිපි සැකසීම, ඒ කියන්නේ නව සේවාදායකයන් කීප දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් පත්වීම් ලිපි, නව සේවාදායකයෙක් එක්කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් පත්වීම් ලිපිය සැකසීම, දැනුම් දීම, පසු විපරම, බඳවාගත් අයගෙන් පත් කිරීම සහ ගිවිසුමට ඇතුළත් කිරීම යන පියවරයන්ගෙන් බඳවා ගැනීමේ ක්‍රියාවලිය සමන්විතයි. ස්ථිර රැකියාවෙහි තහවුරු කරනු වස් එක්තරා කාල පරිච්ඡේදයක් තුළ සිය රැකියාව කාර්යක්ෂමව සහ සඵලව ඉටු කිරීමට සේවාදායකයාට නියම වෙනවා. මෙම කාල පරිච්ඡේදය පරිවාස කාලය එහෙම නැත්නම් පරීක්ෂමාන කාලය නමින් හඳුන්වනවා. පරීක්ෂමාන කාලය තුළ ඒ අදාළ පරීක්ෂමාන කොන්දේසි probationary conditions ඒ කොන්දේසි නිසි ලෙස අදාළ පරිවාස කාලයට යටත් වුණු සේවාදායකයා විසින් ඉටු කළ යුතුයි. මෙම කොන්දේසින්ට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම අයත් වන දෙයක් තමයි අදාළ රැකියාවේ රාජකාරී කටයුතු සාර්ථක ලෙස නිම කිරීම. ඒ වගේම වෘත්තීය සුසුකමක්, අධ්‍යයන සුසුකමක් ලබා ගැනීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවය තිබෙන්නට පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම පුහුණුවක් ලබා ගැනීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවය තිබෙන්නට පුළුවන්. බඳවාගත් නව සේවාදායකයා ආයතනයේ රැකියාව සහ රැකියාවේ පරිසරය වෙත හඳුන්වා දීමේ ක්‍රියාවලිය අනුස්ථාපනය කියලා හඳුන්වනවා. නම්නීකරණය, orientation. අරමුණු රාශියක් මුදුන්පත් කර ගැනීම අනුස්ථාපනයෙන් අපේක්ෂා කළ හැකි හේයින් ඒ වැදගත් මානව සම්පත් කළමනාකරන කාර්යයක් වශයෙන් සලකන්නට පුළුවන්. එසේම චින්තාවන් සහ අවිනිශ්චිතතාවයන් අවම කිරීම, තත්ත්ව කම්පනය අවම කිරීම, රැකියා කටයුතු හා රාජකාරී මැනවින් ඉටු කිරීමට ඉක්මනින් පුරු කිරීම සහ සමායෝජනය කඩිනමින් කිරීම යනාදී අනුස්ථාපනයෙන් සිදුවන වැදගත් මෙහෙයන්. අනුස්ථාපන ක්‍රියාවලිය අධීර 3ක් සාකච්ඡා කරා අදාළ පරිදි එනම් සූදානම් වීම, පැවැත්වීම සහ පසු විපරම. සූදානම් වීම, පැවැත්වීම සහ පසු විපරම හා ඇගයීම. Okay. I hope you understood to a certain extent. Of course, you should try by using a dictionary, by taking an adequate time, by developing a right attitude, and also by having a serious enthusiasm. I hope you must be able to follow the relevant chapter and also the this lecture, the related video that contains the lecture. You okay? So you are supposed to achieve these objectives, 7 objectives. 3 objectives are relevant to hiring. 4 objectives are relevant to induction. Okay. Wish you all the best. See you in future. See you in future, as usual.